Welcome back to Agent Investor, the only brand that helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster. Today, we're going to be talking about how to get not just mentorship, but how to get the right mentorship, how to learn from the right people, how to do it so that you don't go bankrupt working with the mentor, how to find the right people, how to get around the right people, and much more. This is Agent Investor. We are the only brand that helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster. We help real estate agents explode their income by turning their listings into fix and flip deals and helping them invest that money into long-term passive assets that pay you forever. We call that the Agent Investor model. We offer a partnership program where when agents find us a fix and flip opportunity, we put up all the money, we do all the construction, and we split the profits with agents 50-50. The average agent partnership deal is now over $80,000, which means that every time a real estate agent finds a fix and flip opportunity, either on their own or through our mentorship and coaching and helping, we split the profits with them 50-50, and they earn on average about $40,000. Of course, we've had deals that have made over $200,000, and we've had deals that have made far less. But 99.9% of the time, you're going to make more partnering with us than you would just simply listing the property. To learn more about our partnership program, go to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. I do a weekly call on the partnership program. I do a weekly call talking about how real estate agents can actually get seller appointments from me, whether you're a part of my brokerage or not. Again, go to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com to learn more about how to partner with us, how to find deals, and how to follow the Agent Investor model. But again, today, the topic for today, we're going to be talking about how to get mentorship, how to get the right mentorship. There's a lot of people that are out there claiming to be mentors. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to, be the right person for you. I'm going to talk about, the benefits of having a mentor, the right types of mentors, and the wrong types of mentors. You've probably heard me say the phrase, I say it a lot, and I've said it a lot for a long time, that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with. And a lot of times I don't really elaborate into, necessarily what that means, but I think we kind of all know, from our life experiences that when we get around the right people and we're spending time with positive, entrepreneurial, other successful people, it tends to level up our game, right? Instead of somebody saying, hey, why are you working so hard? Let's go out, let's party, let's do whatever. You have somebody saying the exact opposite. So it isn't, like I always say this too, it doesn't mean that you have to let go of the friends that you have. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to run out and make a whole bunch of new friends tomorrow. But you want to start making a concerted effort to getting around the right types of people. So I want to talk quickly about how I've personally benefited from having the right mentor, and how I've been negatively benefited sometimes from having the wrong person. So my story, to make it as brief as possible, because this could be a whole episode, is I grew up without a ton of money. I always wanted to have some level of money success because my parents really didn't. My parents struggled with money and didn't know what to do. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't really know anybody who was super successful. And I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad in probably 2003. I was a pizza delivery boy for Nana's Pizza in Revere, Massachusetts, where I was born and raised. And I listened to that book. And after listening to the audio book in my white Kia Sophia, I remember thinking, I want to be in real estate. I want to be an entrepreneur. I didn't really know what that meant. But reading that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, kind of started me off on my journey. And even though I've never met Robert Kiyosaki and I've never paid for any of his coaching programs, I felt like he was in some ways a mentor to me. I don't love everything that he does, but I like some of the stuff and definitely credit him for the creation of that book and those concepts and getting a lot of people motivated to being business owners. So I do want to make a quick point about that. Like when we talk about finding the right mentor, really you should always be open-minded to what really anybody can teach you. Like it doesn't necessarily always have to be one person. In fact, probably shouldn't just be one person. You should have many teachers in your life. You should have many mentors. You should have many associates. It's about building a network of people that can help you. Finding a really, really good one or two mentors is probably, the most important part. But having said that, you should be able to learn from everybody. And you can read a book and get some sort of mentorship just from reading a book. So I read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki in 2003. And I didn't do my first investing deal until 5 years later in 2008. So you might say, like, well, why didn't I? Was I not motivated? Did I not know what I was doing? Did I not have the resources? And I can tell you that it was as simple as not having a mentor. Not having the right mentor. I had no mentor at all. In fact, back in 2003, I didn't even know what mentorship was. Like, I didn't even know that you could have a mentor. I thought that everybody did everything on their own. And at some points from that 5-year period from 2003 to 2008, I doubted myself a lot, like whether I would ever invest, whether I would ever be an entrepreneur. I graduated college in 2005, went out into the workforce, and I became a CPA, worked for a great company, did well in my career, but that's not what I wanted to do. That during that 5-year period, I spent a lot of my time reading books, listening to audiobooks, getting educated, and I would show up at, like a RIA event, and I show up at these things and just kind of like realize that I was just getting sold to. People were trying to sell me products or services or coaching or whatever, and I kind of felt lost. During that 5-year period from 2003 to 2008, I didn't know it at the time, but realistically, during that 5-year period, although I was young, hungry, motivated, driven, would have done what it took, during that 5-year period, quite frankly, I just didn't know what to do. In a way, I was kind of like a chicken with my head cut off. I always was researching all of these different avenues to go into. Like I didn't know if I wanted to own, short-term rentals, or whether I wanted to be a landlord, or whether I wanted to fix and flip properties, or whether I wanted to be a real estate agent, or whether I wanted to invest in the stock market. And the list could kind of go on and on. If I were to show you like the books that I have in my library now, because back then you used to actually read hard copy books, you would see it's all over the map. Because at the end of the day, what I really wanted was to be financially free and financially successful. I didn't know how to get there. I had the motivation, I had the drive, I had the determination, but I didn't know what to do. So in the beginning of 2008, I was networking, meeting different people, and I learned about a local person that if I mention his name, a lot of you might actually know this person. I'll tell you his first name. His first name was Aaron. And I remember getting on the phone with Aaron. And I remember asking him, because I'm a question asker, right? I'm a knowledge seeker, question asker. I asked him probably 100 questions. And I remember the phone call going over an hour. And I'll never forget where I was. I was in my condo in Linfield, Mass. Was on the phone. I remember hanging up the phone and feeling like, wow, this is the first conversation I ever had in my entire life where the person on the other end knew the answers to my entrepreneurial problems. They knew how I should be spending my time. They understood what I was trying to do. They had already done it. Okay. And so that was probably the beginning of 2008. And within a few months, I did my first investing deal. A lot of you know the story. 13 Cameron Ave in Somerville, Massachusetts. Went on that appointment. It was a listing appointment. And I turned that listing appointment into a fix and flip deal where I made $115,000, which was more money than I made as an agent in the past 2 years. Now, I will tell you, even though I had read a lot of books, I consider myself fairly educated, fairly intelligent, definitely hardworking. I would not have done that deal without a mentor. A mentor does so many things. And I'll talk about, the things that a good mentor does. But for me in that moment, what I specifically needed was somebody to give me a push to do my first deal. More than anything else in that moment, that is what I needed out of mentorship. Yes, I needed answers. Yes, I needed to be around other people doing things. In that moment, I needed a push, and I got a push. And the rest for me is history, because once you start investing, I know that everybody who's listening either invests already, maybe they want to do more investing, or they want to start investing. Once you start investing and once you start having success, in a way, it's kind of like, it's like a good drug. It's like, a hit of dopamine, like you want to do more. And you realize you get the confidence that you can do it, like riding a bike. My older boy, it's funny, like he's 8 years old, and he never really rode a bike. And I remember thinking, like, he's getting kind of old to not know how to ride a bike. All of his friends are riding bikes. And I knew he just didn't have the confidence to do it. And one day, he tried it, he did it. And now, like, I can't get him to stop, like, leaving the house and riding all over town and whatever. It's the same thing with investing. Once you start doing it, like, you're gonna want to do it more and more and more. And you're not even gonna remember that you didn't know how to do it before. Like, the only reason I'm thinking about this now is just because I'm recording this episode, but I can't, on a day-to-day basis, it feels like I've been investing forever, because I've been investing for about 20 years. But I didn't do that deal. I wouldn't have done that deal if I didn't have a mentor. Now, what would have happened if I never got a mentor? I don't know. Maybe I would still be sitting here. Maybe I would still be a CPA or whatnot. I can't really tell you. I can't, go into the alternate universe or the butterfly effect or whatever and tell you what would have happened. But I do know that it took me a long time to do my first deal, way longer than it should have. And I did it really quickly once I got a mentor. So I want to talk quickly about, like, what mentorship does. Because getting a push, is one thing that mentorship does. But having said that, like, somebody just pushing you to do something that maybe doesn't even make sense, I mean, that's not the role of a mentor either. The role of a mentor is certainly to push you when you should be pushed, but it's also to pull you back when you shouldn't be doing something. We've made mistakes. Me and my business partners, we've done things that don't make sense. We've also wanted to do things that didn't make sense, where mentors have told us not to do it, right? So mentors don't just tell you what to do. When you come up with an idea, you get all excited, and then you present it to them about how you should kind of be spending your time. They also pull you back when you shouldn't be doing something, right? Because when it comes to investing, I'm sure you have all heard, Warren Buffett's, rules. Rule number one, is not to lose money. And rule number two, and rule number three, and rule number four is not to forget rule number one. So when you're investing in real estate, it is big numbers. No matter, how small the deals are, they're still big money, right? Kind of no matter where you are in the country, you're talking about at least typically hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not, a minimum, maybe $100,000. Although I don't even know where those properties would be nowadays. But you're talking about big money, so you don't want to make mistakes. And that's part of the reason why mentorship is important, because a mentor will push you to do the right deals and make sure that you don't do the wrong deals. Mentors are not perfect, but mentors have made mistakes, and you can learn from those mistakes. The number one thing that I believe that I do, like when I mentor people, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do. We offer mentorship for free, as most of you know. If you're in my Inner Circle program, you can get in for free. I make money, full disclaimer, I make money from my Inner Circle program from agents handing me deals that we split 50-50. So I did over 50 deals last year. The average profit, like I mentioned, was 80 grand. So my company added, a couple $1 million to our revenue just from doing these deals with agents. So I will tell you, full disclaimer, like I'll talk a little bit about my mentorship program. You don't have to work with me, but my mentorship program is free because I make money in other ways, right? I always try to create win-win opportunities. I spent a lot of time wanting to join certain mentorship programs that were very expensive and I didn't have the money at times. So I've made my program free. But with having said that, when I work with agents, and sometimes I work with non-agents, it really just depends. But the number one thing I help people with, in my opinion, that I can provide value and that I believe that a mentorship should be able to provide value with is how you spend your time. Most people on an investing journey are not spending their time the right way. Okay, I'm going to say that again. It's super important. Most people don't know how to spend their time the right way. We all have the same number of hours in a day, right? I have 4 kids. I get some people have maybe a little bit less time, but really, I'll say this. We all have enough time in our day to be successful. Even if you told me you had 3 hours a day, to put into investing and sales and investing, right? Because we combine them. Even if you were spending 3 hours a day as an agent investor doing agent and investor activities, you could still be extremely successful, but you have to spend your time the right way. The most common area that I provide value and that I've gotten value provided to me from other mentors is by them analyzing how I'm spending my time, right? The best thing that you can do when working with a mentor or talking to a mentor is to write down kind of how you've been spending your time, write down how you believe you should be spending your time, and hand that to a mentor and say, how does this look? Tell them your goals and get feedback, right? Any mentor that you pursue or that you try to engage in before paying them or before working with them should be able to spend that 10, 15 minutes with you and should be able to provide you with extremely good insights off the cuff, right? So if you're interviewing or thinking about working with a mentor and you write down, hey, this is how I've been spending my 40 hours or 30 hours or 50 hours or whatever. This is how I think I should be spending it. These are my goals. Is this correct? Like if I spent my time the way I think I should be spending it, am I going to hit my goals? Can you critique it for me? That is how I personally, as a mentor, and I believe other mentors can provide the most value. Because at the end of the day, of course, a mentor can't do the work for you, right? All they can do is listen to your goals, help analyze your goals, and they can provide you with feedback to tell you whether or not, if you do what you're supposed to be doing, whether you'll hit your goals, right? And again, like I mentioned, I do have a completely free mentorship program. You can learn more about that right now by going to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. I've got an on-demand video that you guys can watch. But how you spend your time is the most important thing that you can do, right? We talked about eliminating mistakes. There are a lot of mistakes when I talk to people that are in my mentorship program or I've gotten mentored. I've tried to make a lot of mistakes that have been prevented by my coaches. And I will tell you that it's common that somebody will come to me, they're about to make a mistake. They tell me what they're doing, the deal that they're going to do, or that how they're going to spend their time. And we course correct right then and there. Again, of course, you as the mentee have to listen, or you have to at least provide feedback as to why you think why you're going to do what you're going to do. But preventing mistakes is a huge one. And I alluded to this right in the beginning, but getting confidence that you can do it, and confidence to actually do a deal or do the right activities. A lot of times people are afraid. They get a plan laid out for them, or they think they know what they're going to do, and they don't put in 100% effort because they're worried that they're not spending their time on the right things. Again, having the right mentor will prevent you from spending your time on the wrong things. All right, let's talk again a little bit more about like how to choose the right mentor. Again, I offer that for free to everybody. Some mentor choosing, mistakes. All right, so um, one simple thing. I see this as a common mistake quite frequently, that people choose a mentor based on like somebody that's just like in a close proximity to them. And I don't mean necessarily geographically, but if I'm talking about like a real estate agent, I see it commonly that a real estate agent, they'll join an office, they'll see somebody that's like a little bit ahead of them potentially. They're kind of like them. They have a similar personality. Maybe they even look up to them, or they could see themselves being friends with them, or they become friends with them. And all of a sudden, that person's like now their mentor because it was like close proximity, easy, somebody that they like, somebody that they enjoy spending time with. But it's not the right mentor because that person hasn't actually done what your goals are, right? So if you go into like a big box real estate office and you're a newbie, or you're, somebody that is kind of just starting to get off the ground, and you see somebody that, hey, they list 10 houses a year, they do reasonably well, but that's not your goal. Your goal is to be an agent investor, or your goal is to become something totally different. Just because that person has had some success and that you like them doesn't mean that they should be your mentor. They could be your friend, but maybe they shouldn't be your mentor. So it is very important that you determine, what do you want to be? Like, where do you want to be 2, 3, 5, 10 years into the future? It doesn't have to be perfect. Like, certainly doesn't have to be perfect. Goal setting is something you should be doing with a mentor, or at least they should be giving you feedback. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to find a mentor that's already done where you want to go 2, 3, 5, 10 years into the future. Like, already done it, not trying to do it, not a manager who's reading out of a book that hasn't actually done it. Like somebody that's actually done the stuff and is in the place that you want to be today. They're already there. That might sound overly simplistic, but again, I see it as just like a super common mistake. All right. Another thing that's, a common mistake. You have to find a mentor who actually likes helping people. That should be simple. Like, I mean, if you are a mentor in any way, you should like helping people. But I will tell you, it is very, very common. I don't know why this happens, but it's very common that somebody will have some level of success. Now all of a sudden they start a coaching program and they want to run like a coaching business. But they don't actually want to help people. Like, they just want to make money that way. They're thinking, I'm an expert. This is another source of revenue for me. Let me be a coach. Let me be a mentor. And then all of a sudden you ask them the first couple of questions, or you try to get some of their time, and they're not available. So I actually I bought into this mentorship program. I'll never forget this. And I'm not knocking this. This is my opinion. Of course, take this for how it is. I bought into this mentorship program, and the person said, essentially, you can only contact them via a Slack channel once a week. So you would get to do a voice note to record, and they would check it once a week and get back to you that week. So essentially, if you had a question, it was a Monday, and they checked their Slack channel on Sunday, that would mean that at best, by Monday of that next week, 7 days later, you would get an answer. Now, some people will say, well, they're just being conservative with their time. I get it. But in my opinion, what that shows me more than anything else is that person doesn't really like doing that. And again, we have a free mentorship program. But if somebody reaches out to me, they're getting an answer the same day. They're typically getting an answer within an hour or two, sometimes within minutes, because I actually like doing it. right? So when you choose a mentor, one question I would ask them is like, what's their availability to help you and how does it work? I'm not saying that you can't get value out of somebody that's only available in limited hours, but to me, what that tells me is that they don't really like what they're doing, and they're more interested in running it kind of like as a business. See a lot like now with like my kids are in sports, they're young. I see it with like coaches. And I see coaches that are out there that don't really like coaching. They're just doing it, kind of going through the motions. Maybe they had some like serious athletic success and they're a coach, but they don't really like coaching. And then I see other coaches that maybe, didn't necessarily have as much success, but they love doing it and they're studying and they're providing feedback and they're just like so into it. Like that's the type of person that you want. Somebody that's like very into it, very responsive. And yes, ideally, they've had a ton of success themselves. I don't want to, knock that at all. But you don't want somebody who's not responsive. The next thing I'll talk about is just like the cost. I've already said that our mentorship program is for free. The reason is because I make more money by helping more people and doing more partner deals. Simple as that, right? I'm a capitalist. I like making money. I'm an entrepreneur, but I've set it up personally for my mentorship group that I make money when people partner with me. So you don't have to pay me a big fee because guess what? We're going to do a fix and flip deal together and I'm going to make 40 grand. And hopefully we do multiple deals in a year and we both make six figures, or we do a deal a year, or even if we do a deal every other year, it's fine. Some people I'll never do a deal with and that's okay too. But I do believe in my program, I believe in my mentorship, and I believe that if I'm providing the right value, people are going to be successful and then I'm going to get paid, right? So I'm basically, the way I run my mentorship program is I'm investing in you to get paid later, right? Again, to learn more about my program, go to www.partnerwithagенtinvestor.com, okay? So in terms of the cost, I don't want to knock people to charge because not everybody has an outlet to make money the way that I do. I will say this, a lot of coaching nowadays, it's ridiculously expensive for kind of like what you get. So I've paid, as little as like $5,000 for mentorship and as much as like 50 grand for mentorship. And I will tell you that I typically, in my own kind of like feedback, is like I typically got what I put in, not what the cost of the program was. I'm going to say that again. I typically got out of mentorship what I put in and not necessarily based on the cost of the program. I would not advise, like if you make a ton of money and you have a program that's very specific on something that you want to do and you can't get it anywhere else, and it costs a bunch of money and you want to invest in it, I wouldn't discourage you from doing it, but I would absolutely ask for referrals, especially if you're going to drop like over 10 grand. A good mentor should have success stories. They should have success stories with people that actually are like enthusiastic about talking about how they've been helped. If you reach out to me and you say, hey, can I talk to somebody who you've helped? I'm going to give you somebody and they're going to be enthusiastic. And I could give you more than one person, right? If a mentor is not willing to give you a few references and those references aren't enthusiastic, that's not a good sign. Okay? It's not a good sign at all. So, the cost, like I said, it kind of just depends. If you can get it for less or cheap or free or whatever, I would recommend doing it. All right, let's talk about some mistakes. I did, already mention a couple of the mistakes. One of the mistakes was just choosing the person that's like closest to you, making an assumption like, hey, you joined a brokerage and they assign you a mentor. Don't assume that person is the right fit for you. Don't even assume that that person knows what they're talking about. Just because somebody was assigned to you as a mentor doesn't mean much to me. The other big mistake that I see people making is they go to a seminar, they jump on a webinar, they get all excited about working with a mentor, and then they go to sign up for the mentorship program. And I'm not going to, name any names, but let's say like, okay, you're listening to my content. Obviously, you listen to my content, you listen to my podcast, you feel like you know me to some extent, right? And then all of a sudden I say, hey, I know that you were excited to work with me, but here's Bob, who's just as good. This is who you're going to be working with. My opinion, it's extremely important that you work with like the guy or the gal that you want to work with, not somebody that they hired. I will tell you, like, if I put somebody in front of my mentees that I trusted, that I liked, you'd get some value out of it, but it wouldn't be the same. It would not be the same for sure. And if somebody tries to dump a different person on you, I would personally run as fast as you can. Now, again, why do they do that? Like, well, it's a business decision, right? They say, well, I don't really enjoy mentoring. I want to make this a business. How do I build a business? I scale it. So now you're going to get somebody else instead of me, and I'm going to make a profit off of that. Again, I'm a capitalist. I don't have an issue with that in terms of like somebody trying to run a business. What I do have an issue with is that if the mentee is paying 30 grand to get somebody else, I mean, I just don't think there's good value there. Okay. All right. The last thing to avoid. Well, I did talk about this again briefly, but I would avoid somebody with limited availability. Like if they are telling you out of the gate, hey, these are the parameters for working with me. I only respond 1 day a week or 1 day every other week, or you only get to talk to me on the phone here or there, or these are the rules. I'd be leery. And I get it. Like I've mentored enough people to know that some people will be much more interactive with you and some people won't be very interactive with you. In fact, sometimes I tell some of my mentees, like, I haven't heard from you. Like, what's going on? It's usually, as a mentor, it's not a good sign when you haven't heard from a mentee. It usually means they're not doing a whole lot. But what I find is that the mentees who are reaching out a lot are doing stuff. So I never have an issue with that personally, because I know that the motivated people are always going to be seeking answers. I remember being that person. Again, I've been in many mentorship programs. I have probably paid in the course of almost 20 years about 500 grand to be mentored. And I've gotten ROI on that. So again, going back to my point about paying, I'm not anti somebody paying for mentorship. You better get the right mentor. Everything I'm telling you is from mistakes and successes I've had with different mentors. I have had mentorships that I've been a part of, like I've been the mentee, and I've not gotten a lot of value. I've had the opposite. I've had, great value. All right. So in terms of like where to get it and all that good stuff. Without sounding, I'm trying to not sound the wrong way, but I'm going to just say what I feel. So I was willing to do anything. I was willing to go anywhere. I was willing to do anything to get the right mentorship. If there was I remember me and my partner, we flew out to Omaha from Boston. That's not a direct flight, just to go to a 3-day seminar. So we got, stuck on one of the days. Long story short, both days back and forth to Omaha was like a 1-day thing. So we basically spent 5 days to get, to a 2 or 3 day conference. We actually missed half of the first day because our planes got delayed. But I was willing to do whatever it took. In terms of like where I've gone to San Diego, I've gone to Austin, Texas, I've gone to Dallas, Texas, I've gone to Omaha, I've gone to Florida, I've gone to Ohio, I've gone to Cincinnati, Ohio, I've gone to Dayton, Ohio. Of course, I've done a lot of stuff locally. I'm located in New England, and I've done stuff virtually. I've had mentors that were in Phoenix, and I've hadn't visited them in Phoenix, but I did everything virtual. So I was willing to kind of go wherever it took. Right? We're kind of lucky. The one kind of good thing I think that we got out of COVID is like a lot of stuff is virtual. You're listening to this virtual. Mentorship can be completely virtual, like completely. But my point was is that I was willing to kind of go wherever it took. If you can get a mentor that's going to help you virtually, that's easy to access, that you can get questions to, like that's huge, right? That's huge. Another thing about mentors is they should have the right answers immediately. So when I say like look for mentors who have done what you want to do and who have actually done it already, when you ask a mentor a question, they shouldn't have to call you back. I mean, I'm not saying that they should know every answer, but 19 out of 20 times, or even more than that, they should respond immediately with the right answer, right? If they don't, this is what I was talking about with kind of working with somebody who isn't the guy or the gal. Those are the type of people who are going to have to call you back because they don't know. So they're not, to me, they're not really like mentors. In terms of questions to ask mentors, when you get a mentor, or even better, before you get the mentor, what should you be asking them? Number one, how should I spend my time? This is what I'm trying to do. How should I spend my time? Another question, these are my goals. Are they realistic? What would I need to do in order to hit them? Another thing you should be asking your mentor is for help with weekly metrics. So every Tuesday morning, we review our numbers. We do it quickly, so it takes us like 10 minutes. We review the company numbers. How many appointments did we go on? How much capital did we raise? How many deals did we sign? Every week we review it, right? Your mentor should be able to help you with weekly metrics, and you need to be looking at weekly metrics every week. I don't care if it's boring. I hate doing it. I freaking hate doing it. I hate looking at my metrics every week. All right. I plug them in, but I can tell you it's changed our business. Mentors should also be able to provide you with other resources, right? So in my business, like as an example, I don't know a whole lot about construction. Like I fixed and flipped about 1,500 houses, but I don't personally know a whole bunch about construction. But I'm able to provide people with construction resources. I'm able to provide people with legal resources. I'm able to provide people with lending resources. Mentors should be able to connect you to other people. They should be able to provide you with resources in general. So those are kind of my high level things. I'm going to talk quickly about like how my mentorship and how I've helped people has changed. Of course, like I mentioned, if you're interested in getting mentored by me for free, go to www.partnerwithagенtinvestor.com. It's completely free. Again, can't stress enough. I make my money when people partner with me. So how my mentorship has changed. So I've gotten mentored. Like I said, I've paid a lot of people over the course of time. Had a relative, level of success, flipped 1,500 homes, built a brokerage with over 400 agents. I own a rental property portfolio. We build about one apartment deal, like 150 to 100 unit apartment deal a year. I've raised $20 million of capital. I've been a successful agent myself. So I've got a decent resume for what I would call an agent investor. That's what I am. That's what I teach people how to do. And my mentorship has changed over the years. So I always wanted to be a mentor. I always enjoyed doing it. I enjoy teaching, right? I started my podcast before I even knew how to make money off of it. My main objective with it and my main objective with mentoring is I enjoy sharing ideas. I enjoy helping people. It's fun to me, right? Now, do I want to make profit from it as well? Yes. But again, like the way I've done it, I've kind of combined the best of both worlds, but it wasn't always that way. So when I started out offering mentorship in the beginning, I connected with the team that actually used to sell the Robert Kiyosaki coaching product. And they basically told me, hey, this is the coaching model. You run these, free 1 hour sessions at hotels. You get people to sign up, pay a few $100 for a 3-day event. Then you get 20 or 30 people in a room. You charge, $50,000 to $60,000 to work with you for the year. They get to meet with you once a week for the year. And I thought, okay, great. That's another, revenue source for me. I like helping people. I know I can provide people with value. So from 2017 to about like 2020, I did that. And there were some things I really liked about it, and there were some things I didn't like about it. What I liked about it is I like running events. I like helping people. I like making money. We did make money from it. When you charge $50,000 to $60,000 for a coaching program, you definitely make money on it. But for me, what I didn't like about it was a few things. The first thing I didn't like was $50,000 or $60,000 is a lot of money. And I'll be honest, I didn't have an issue necessarily taking it from people that had it. What I had an issue with was having a coaching fee that was too high for the average person to get in. And I kept thinking back to like when I started in real estate, I didn't have that money, but I was motivating and I needed a mentor. So I didn't like that. I also didn't like having a standard 1 day a week time to meet people, because what I find, this is real estate. You guys get it. You're real estate agents. When you need help, you don't need it a week later or 2 weeks later or next month. You need it kind of today. So I like having the availability to kind of like give to people like, hey, you need me, reach out to me today and I'll get you an answer today. So I feel like I kind of like struck gold in a way, like both to help people, to help myself and whatever. When we created the partnership program a couple of years ago, I just said, hey, like I can teach, I can have a podcast, I can mentor people, and I can do it for free. And in turn, people are going to send me their investing deals, their fix and flip opportunities. Now I'm more than aware that like not everybody's going to send me every opportunity. I'm more than aware that some people will never send me a deal. It's okay. But my goal with my mentorship program is to have as many people underneath me teaching people how to be agent investors, combine being an agent, being an investor, focus on sellers, getting fix and flip opportunities, getting those big chunks of income, and then investing that passively long-term. And I can offer that for free, right? So my mentorship program, like I've said 100 times, it is free. You can learn more by going to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. It's part of my mentorship program, as I've said in the top of this, like you get 24/7, 365 access to me. Happy to provide you with references on people that are in my program that know I'm legitimately 24/7, 365. Yeah, like if I'm coaching my kid's game, am I going to like respond to you in that exact moment? No. But I'll literally respond right after the game, right? So it is 24/7, 365. I like this stuff. It's a hobby business to me. Like I found my passion. I know what I like doing. I like helping people. I like making money. And I like real estate. I like talking about real estate. That's my hobby, right? Like I don't like watching TV. I don't like, other things. I like spending time with my family and talking about real estate and making money in real estate. That's what I like doing, right? And I don't have hobbies outside of that. I don't golf. I don't do any of that stuff. So that's what I offer, right? I offer that mentorship 24/7, 365 for help with anything that you need. My program, it's a lifetime program, because for people that have big goals, I have big goals. I still have goals, right? I'm not done. I'm going to be 43 next month. It's lifetime because it's going to take a little bit of time. Like I can't help you become a multimillionaire in 6 months. I don't know how to do it. I do know how to help people become multimillionaires over the course of years, over the course of 3, 4, 5 years, right? If you put in the time, effort, and energy. Not everybody has the same goal, but it is a lifetime membership, right? You get access to all of my team. You get access to all of my systems, right? Obviously, to produce the results that we have systems that are written out. I did consider at one point franchising our business, which led me to document a lot of our systems. So we've got all of that stuff. You get access not only to me, but you get access to my construction team, my legal team, lenders, etc. And again, main point here is that you get access to me. So I'm going to cut it there because, I don't want to make this an infomercial. You've obviously heard what I've had to say. I believe in mentorship. I believe in getting around the right people. I look at our mentorship program. It's really a no-brainer because it's free, right? At a minimum, even if you just kind of like me or kind of think I can provide value, you might as well get into my mentorship program because it's free. Start there, right? I'm also happy to talk other mentors with people. I know the other mentors that are in this game. I know their pluses, cons. I've recommended other coaching programs for stuff that I don't do. So yeah, check it out at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Take action. Like, stop just listening to podcasts. Stop just showing up to events. Like, take action on this. Reach out to me. I'm happy to have the conversation with you, and jump on www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. And like I said, trust me, getting mentors is going to help you for sure. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you later.